So I was able to actually really solidify four major goals this last year, or this over this last weekend, that I was struggling with. And I'm a goal setter to the nth. Like, I love goals. I love goals. I thrive on goals, and I really was having difficulty. So number one, and this is the goal that cascades. So as you're watching here, and you're thinking, well, four goals, that's crazy, because I always tell people focus on one goal, because otherwise you split your focus and you lose sight of all of it, right? But go ahead and have more than one goal. Just make sure that one of them will cascade into the rest, and that's where you tunnel, you focus your energy, right? So the one goal that will cascade into all the rest is that I am going to, as you know, as I shared just prior, I'm going to help 1,000 people see themselves as they are. And so I actually went through, I happen to have the first page of this, and I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can kind of see. So no names get to go on there till the first of the year, because it's a 2019 goal, although I might start adding names on beforehand. But I have 20 pages, with 50 slots on there of names, because I want to personally affect 1,000 people with this message, and help them see themselves as they truly are. So that's my number one goal. And yes, I am literally writing names down. So if you want to be one of my 1,000, contact me, because I would love to share with you just what I see in you, so that you can see it too. So that's number one. And that will happen through my services, 100%. It will happen in my day-to-day conversations for sure. And it'll happen, through many other avenues. I'm certain the universe will conspire to make this happen. Number two is a financial goal, which I don't need to share the exact numbers of that, but it's a big financial goal. And that's just naturally going to happen. If I go out and I serve this many people, that's going to happen. Number three is writing at least one best-selling book. And then number four is to become a bodybuilding figure pro. So that's a big physical goal. I did my very first bodybuilding competition this last year, which is another really fun story, which I would actually love to share if we have time. I don't know what our time frame is here, but yeah, and I'm dead set on, and I feel it. So, and becoming a bodybuilding pro is a is a task for sure. So yes, in the figure category. So in past years in business, I've always set financial goals. But the truth of the matter is that being rich doesn't drive me. It doesn't push me in any way, shape, or form. Now, that being said, I don't want to leave my family without a roof over their head. Okay, so money is important. It just doesn't happen to drive me. And so now with this 1,000 person goal, it's real, and it's real connection, and connection with real humans, right? Not with, thousands of subscribers or whatever else, right? Connection is what drives me. And so seeing this sheet here, and I've got it all hole punched. So I even have a 3-ring binder with all my little sheets in it that once this is filled, so this will go up on my wall, and this is how I'm going to track it. So that in case anyone wants to know, like, how on earth are you going to track that? So at 50 at a time, this will go up on my wall. And once this page of 50 is filled, it goes in my 3-ring binder, and the next 50 comes out. Right. So that I don't have all 20 sheets on my wall, because quite frankly, that's really overwhelming. But 50, I can start there. Right. So that's how I'm going to track that. But so that human connection thing makes me thrive. It makes me really push towards that. And what I know is that if I affect that number of people, the financial stuff just happens. Now, the reason that I do have a financial goal is that I need to create the discipline and the processes around tracking that. Right. So it's not, so the number one goal cascades into the second, if that makes sense. So my focus is 1,000 people, but it cascades into the second goal. Similarly with the book writing, right? I know that a book well written and well marketed will draw more people to me, so that I can get to that 1,000 number, right? So behind every keystroke is the connection, the hope and the drive to connect with yet another person who will then get to go on my list, right? So again, all three of those go right into that. Now, the bodybuilding one, you might think is a completely separate one. But what's interesting, as I mentioned, I had my first bodybuilding competition in May, and I ended up on the wrong stage. And so that story, and now the power that will be behind that story when I show up on the right stage, right? Because I was able to see myself in that full light, it aligns right with that message. And that achievement allows me to speak into more people's lives that will end up on this list. So even though they seem all like different goals all over the place in different categories, the one goal, the 1,000 people, that is the primary goal, and it cascades into the rest of them. Absolutely. So I trained for 5 months. I went from sedentary and eating and drinking whatever I wanted into 6 days a week working out, no alcohol, no dairy, no sugar, in a very, very strict meal plan, et cetera. I mean, just, it was like, boom, intense. Right. And I did it because I had a very clear goal in mind, and I thrive on very clear short-term goals. So that's how I was able to kind of push through and do it. And I walked on stage. We'll have to find a picture of me on the stage. It's in my Facebook profile someplace. So if you guys want to Facebook stalk me, go ahead. And I walked on stage at 9.5% body fat in the bikini category, which 9 to 10%, 9 to 11% is about accurate for walking onto a bikini stage. Now, the bikini category as in bodybuilding is a softer category. And that's where my trainer wanted me to start, because quite frankly, we just didn't know what was underneath the 20 pounds of fluff that we took off while I was going through prep. And we didn't know what kind of body type I had underneath it all. And so she's like, let's start there, because it's not as intense, because you don't have to cut down your fat as hard. That seems like a really good place to start. And we all agreed that was a great plan. Let's do it. Well, out of 8 women in the 2 classes, or the twice that I walked on stage, I was in the bottom 3 of each. And like the entire time I was manifesting a win. I just knew it. And I told my trainer, I said, I just feel it. I'm going to win. I'm going to win. And then I went one step forward and I said, but you know what? The universe may have a different win in store. So I'm not going to be attached to the medal, but I am going to win. I'm fully confident. And so then when I was in the bottom 3, I was like, oh, holy crap, what happened? And my daughters, who are 11 and 12, they're adorable. They're like, this is terrible, Mom. You deserve to win. This is crap, blah, 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 which is, as close to curse words as I let them get right now. Right. And I was like, well, the other women worked really hard too. Like, let's not take away from what they did. And my husband says, babe, I don't know. Like, I'm not a bodybuilding judge, but like, you look better than any of the women up there. He's like, but that, that's me, and maybe I'm biased. And I'm like, well, I hope you're biased, right? And so I decided that I never lose. I either win or I learn. And so I approached the judges and approached the head judge, who was pretty harsh to some of the women on the stage. Like, through the microphone, she's like, lift your hip, and she was giving criticism like while people were on stage. And so I was a little nervous to talk to her, because I wasn't sure that I quite had the stuff to like hear her criticism, but I was like, I'm going to approach her anyway. So she and about 5 other judges that were standing around, and I said, can I bother you for a moment just to get some feedback so I can do better next time? She said, yeah, sure. And so I said, what could I do better? And she's like, well, what I'm about to say might be offensive. So, do you want to hear it? And I was like, oh God, okay. Brace yourself, Alissa. And I said, yeah, I really do. And she goes, well, have you ever considered figure competition, which is a different category, leaner, bigger shoulders, more muscular, et cetera. And I was like, well, yeah, actually, we just thought maybe that would be a good thing for me to train for next year. She's like, yeah. She goes, your posing was so good. It was on point. You were so confident up there. And she started saying all these things, right? And then the other judges started kind of ears perking in, and they were like, yeah, but your abs and your shoulders are so nice and broad, and all these, like, all compliments. And she looked at me and she said, may I ask, why have you stayed in bikini? Like, stayed in bikini? This is my first competition. And every last one of their jaws dropped. They're like, what? But you looked like you belonged, on the stage. But the bottom line is that I belonged on a figure stage, not on a bikini stage. right? So here's the story in it. And this is why this becoming a figure pro goal is so important to me, because so often we feel like we put ourselves out there. And let me tell you, the backside of this bikini was tiny, tiny, tiny. Like it took some courage to walk on that stage with this bikini covering as little of my body as it did. So we put ourselves on the stage, and it takes courage to do so. And then we lose. And we just think, what the heck? I'm not good enough, right? Or I screwed up, or I didn't try hard enough, or any of that. And what it actually may be is that you're just on the wrong stage, right? You're just on the wrong stage. So when I get to walk on stage in October of 2019 as a figure competitor, I know, because I know that that's my body type now. I know that that's the stage I belong on. And so now it's about preparing for the right stage, right? So, but you can't figure out if you're on the wrong stage unless you walk out on the stage. And I think that's the lesson, and that's the hope that I want to give people by achieving that goal, that this figure pro goal thing is actually not at all for me. It's to help people see that you can get back on the stage even after what could have been a devastating loss. I could have taken that, went and cried in my soup, and went, I'm not good enough. I tried really hard, but I just don't have what it takes. And instead, I chose to win. I chose to learn instead of lose. Right. And so that's what drives me with regards to the bodybuilding stuff.
We're gonna live it now.